Turn the tables, get me out. Let me face no consequence. This is like I'm a shadow, I'm a spirit, walk beside you. In the starlight, in the vapor, disappear into all these secrets I've been guarding, holding out on you. I'm your mirror, what's inside me? It's inside, it's you. In the final seconds now, turn the tables, get me out. Let me face no consequence. This is like I'm a shadow, I'm a spirit, walk beside you. In the starlight, in the vapor, disappear into all these secrets I've been guarding, holding out on you. I'm your mirror, what's inside me? It's inside, it's you. In the final seconds now, turn the tables, get me out. Let me face no consequence. This is
Slayter. And we're doing this probably for a number of different reasons, but the most important reason is we want to kind of change up the narrative a little bit that's out there in the YouTube universe and in cyberspace. And we want to invite everybody to kind of engage and talk about some of the things that maybe aren't so comfortable. You're probably going to disagree with us, or you may agree with us, but most of the time we're probably going to piss you off. So, with that being said, we're going to get started. And we picked a couple of topics, right?
Yeah, around that area.
And we want to see how stupid we sound, first of all. And since this is our kind of our maiden broadcast, this is going to be a wash anyways. So we're going to do this a lot. We're either going to get worse or we're going to get better. But ultimately, it's up to you on what direction it is that we go. So, if you're watching, we encourage you, if you would be so kind, is to kind of share. If nothing else is going on and there's nothing really good on TV, burn your brain cells with us and see if maybe you can kind of get us going, help us get where we need to go. One of the first things we wanted to talk about today was immigration. Now, this is a really interesting word, immigration, because it's either lawful or unlawful. You see, you can migrate across any border, right? Whether it be the United States, whether it be into Europe, into Israel, whatever country it is that you want to migrate to, you can migrate. But the question is, are you doing it lawfully? And then if you're not doing it lawfully, are you allowed any special benefits from the country that you're breaking the law in?
Yeah.
So let's start with immigration and the thought of it, because that's a big topic right now. And the part about, I guess, the lawful versus unlawful is, does the country want you in the first place? So what constitutes legal immigration and not? What is a country, if you're going to encourage people to come into your country, what kind of people, Slayter, do you want to have come into your country?
Well, obviously, especially being in America here, I still like the ideology of a melting pot. Melting pot is still a very good tradition to abide by. You're getting different ethnicities coming in, different mindsets. You really don't know what's coming in. And honestly, if you're crossing the border, you know what? If you can get across that border, and in my opinion here, I'm completely cool with that. But now, do you deserve any benefits? That word, deserve benefits? No. I'm sorry if you...
All right, okay, it's fair enough.
Okay,
Time out.
I'll stop right
first
there.
of all, who deserves any benefits, whether you're a citizen or not a citizen? What says you deserve a benefit?
Now, there are different variables we're playing with here. This now kind of gets into
Well, that's what the whole idea of
wow.
the show is.
Well, yes,
it's
exactly.
It's to talk about stuff that, well, people don't like to talk about.
So this is kind of more of a wild card scenario then. So, I mean, if you're coming into the country, I'm sorry, I mean, yes, you may have a child born into this country. That's cool, you wanted to come to America, you wanted to show your tradition, your ethnicity, what you have to provide, but
Again, stop. You're coming here because you want to better your life.
Right, which I am completely okay with, which we'll get to that topic eventually, but Trump's speech last night, may I say, was beautiful. But it was more of the fact of that if you're able to come into this country and benefit us, if you can provide something back to us, even if it's as simple as doing a minor task job, if you are able to help us build roads, clean the streets, even simple
That's
things
kind of
like
demeaning, though, because anybody that comes over, you're expecting to be less than a regular citizen.
Not saying that's going to be your default. I have seen and met people that have started out in this country from nothing and becoming somebody. They have actually been able to get the college education through their parents working through your normal citizen job. Walking in, starting at McDonald's, and proceeding through...
Okay, all right. Well, no, we brought up the topic. Let's do this. Let's dissect the issue.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it this way. If I'm a person that's leaving, like I live here in the United States, what is it that's going to motivate me to leave the country, my heritage, where I was born in, all right, where I grew up, I was raised, I understand our culture, I know our values, I know all those things that are important to us, right? So why is it that I would want to leave the United States? Something has got to motivate me that says things are not good enough here. I want to improve the life of the people that I love, of myself, and there has to be better opportunity out there. So, let's take that first step. What is it that motivates people to come over into the United States?
Well, you just provided one right there, is where they're not happy at their location. If they are not happy, for example, I'm not going to go and lead with that further on, but if you're not happy, for example, in the Middle East, you're going to want to come over here. You're seeing cities being ruined, your town around you is being ruined, school systems get messed up, nothing's good. It's becoming extremist over there. I just watching the news, which is filtered, may I add, it's intimidating over there. I would not want to be over there unless I have a gun, and even then, honestly,
most of the people there have guns.
Exactly.
FYI.
Very true. I want to stay right here. I'm happy home here, but if you're not happy in your location and you see Americans thriving or at least having that pursuit of happiness to go and thrive like that, that's something you're going to want to go and chase. That's something you're going to really want to push for. That's going to be one beneficial factor. Even in Mexico, a lot of the cities there, I've heard people disappearing.
But what gives that person that right to automatically just come in?
Now, so if you're wanting to come in and just live off our lands, no, it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. But
okay,
go on. I'm sorry.
No, and that's kind of the crux of this conversation, is that we have a number of people, both from the Middle East, which you mentioned, and from South America, and from Mexico, that essentially what they're choosing to do is they want to migrate, they want to immigrate from what their current situation is. They basically uproot everything that they know,
right,
and they want to come over here to our country.
But in thinking of the flip side of things, that's also a sacrifice they're making as well. If you think about it, that means they're dropping everything they have. I mean,
I agree.
Now, am I for full immigration in the process that's in right now? Hell no. No. Not gonna happen. I'm not cool with what's happening, especially coming over and they're guaranteed a college degree. That's fucked up. I have.
Okay,
Let's take that route. Let's stick with that. Education.
That's exactly what it is. That right there, that is the issue. You see, because we have two sides of an argument that really aren't the argument. What's happening is that they're politicizing this, and they're making it into you either agree with it entirely or you disagree with it entirely. Well, that's what I think is part of the problem, and that's what the purpose of this program is that let's have these conversations.
Right.
And let's logically think about it. Let's use our intellect, and let's first of all identify what some of these issues are. Okay. And the first issue is what's causing that person to want to come here. And the only time you should actually, as a country, if I owned my own island and I was a country, the only time I would ever provide asylum, because that's what America is, it's a form of asylum.
Right.
The only time I would ever offer asylum to any individual is that where their living conditions currently are, it's a threat to their life.
Okay.
Politically, financially, physically. So they have an actual threat. There's a chance that they may die or be imprisoned for life for a political crime, meaning that they're going against whoever the leader of the government is.
Okay.
All right? When I look at what the other side, which is, like I said, it's not entirely just left or right, but when you look at what, say, the Democrats are trying to support, they don't care they really don't care what the circumstances are in Mexico. They really don't care what the circumstances are in the Middle East, whether it be Syria, or whether it be Iraq, or whether it be any of these other, hellholes that people are born into. People have been born into hellholes forever.
Right.
It's not our job to fix someone else's hellhole. It's our job to worry about our nation, about the people, the citizens in this nation. And my issue is with the other side, they don't care what circumstances someone's coming to. Just come on in. And that's the issue that I have. And then to top it off, is it's not just come on in, it's come on in. Who cares what the citizens are suffering from here in America? Come on in, we're going to provide you free health care. Come on in, we're going to provide you food stamps. Come on, it doesn't matter because it's my tax money.
That pisses me off.
It's our investment where we're not even worried about our own citizens. We don't care about our own citizens, blank. We don't care about any of that. All we care about is making sure that we're making a point, opposed to actually accomplishing something, opposed to doing something for goodwill, for actually accomplishing, really improving that person's life. We're letting anybody in, and they don't care what it is that they're doing.
And exactly, that's my point. That's what really gets at me, is that it really pisses me off that I see, even in my generation, which, I mean no disrespect, but I thought we were at least more logical creatures. We at least had something coming into this game. As I grew up with at least my friends and my co-workers and so on and so forth that I've met some very intellectual individuals. Don't get me wrong, I've been to the nightclubs and all that. Get stupid. But it's more the fact that I thought for sure that if these were coming in, these immigrants coming in and getting these healthcare, these education degrees, provided houses, and almost a food stamp, we are now taking our tax dollar, the thing that I've worked hard for, and I am giving back to the government because I want protection. You know what? You are in charge of the military, which was written. You are supposed to be in charge of the military and fiat. You take care of that. That's my hard-earned dollar. I'm paying back to you for my security and my safety and the upkeep of America. That I'm willing to give in. But now you're wanting to give money to someone that's coming into our country, where if an American came to your country, you would shun them, you would take everything they have, you would put them on a freaking pedestal, throw rocks at them. I mean, there was even a beautiful Facebook video from a veteran who stated how pissed off that made him, where if he would have went over there, he'd be killed on the street. Killed, beheaded, and then shipped back over to America just so they can bury him over there, if he's lucky. That right there pisses me off.
Well, here's my issue, is that we have homeless people, not just veterans. Everybody likes to use the vet as the issue for the homeless people, but there are people out there that are homeless that aren't veterans, but they are indeed American citizens.
Okay.
They're not provided with the same benefit or the same luxuries that people from other countries are coming over from without any... See, the system has been set up so that if you're coming from another nation or another country, they already have something in place for you to show you how to get the food stamps, to show you how to get the student loans, to show you how to get the health care, to show you how to get what it is that you need. But yet you go into any major city with a population greater than 1 million people, go to their park, go to their benches, especially after 12 o'clock at night, you're going to see people sleeping in corners.
Yeah.
And they have no clue how to get these benefits that they need. They don't have internet. They don't have Twitter. They don't, they may have a cell phone if you're lucky, just so they can keep in contact with somebody they love. Granted, they may be drug users, but the point is they're our people. They're ours. They were born here. They were raised here. More than likely, they were educated here. And we set up the system so that it's easier for the migrant, the illegal migrant, mind you, to get the benefits and get the help they need than it is for the very people that live here on our soil, that were born here, to get those same benefits. And that's the part that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I'm not about welfare. I'm not about giving out free goods. But the bottom line is, it's like anything else. Before I worry about my neighbor's backyard, or before I worry about the things that matter outside of, I've got to take care of my own first. And for too long, they've politicized it and they've made it into something bigger than what it really is. Those same groups, those same special interest groups that go out and basically lobby for these other immigrants from other nations, they haven't taken the time out to truly care about our own people first, and that's my issue. And I'm not against welfare from the perspective of people that need it, which the longer that you listen, you're going to be like, oh, he's extreme right. I'm not. I'm extremely logical. If we're a great nation and we provide great things, then let's be a great people to one another first, then to the rest of the world. We've got to start here and make our process better before we make somebody else's process better. Does that make sense?
No, and I'm completely agreeing with you, and that's kind of where I was leading towards, is that we take care of other individuals that come into America that is not part.
No, I get that, yeah.
And that drives me nuts. And I guess where I'm lost at, maybe you can help enlighten me, maybe you can help enlighten me, but where does that mentality come from? Is it just a moral stance, a moral aspect? I mean,
well,
why would you want to fund somebody that's...
Well, it comes down to the values of that society, okay? We try to consider ourselves Western civilization, and Europe tries to consider themselves Western civilization.
Yes.
Really, there's not. There's American civilization, and then there's the continent of Europe civilization, right?
Okay.
American values and what it is that matters to them is totally different. We shouldn't even try to mix ourselves in with Europe in any way, or the UK, even though we have similar forms of government. It's not the job of our government to fix our people. It's the job of the community to fix the people. You see, we give the federal government way too much power. We give them way too much control, and really the idea or the job of the federal government is an administrative. They're just supposed to take care of things like commerce and the defense of our borders. That's pretty much it.
Right.
When it comes to taking care of people like the homeless, the sick, the elderly, the vets, whatever it is, that comes down like, I don't know, it comes down like to the community, not to the duty of the federal government. I think that states in themselves, cities, counties, would run better with less federal government control and more local control. So if we see homeless people, instead of paying more tax dollars, what we do is we unite as a group in order to get together and fix this problem. Or we're going to look like Chicago, and then that's up to us still. That's not the job of the federal government to fix. It's our responsibility to either have a militia to fix things like that or not. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Jade?
Working our social media feed. So I guess at least where we should be looking at anyways is trying to really identify why they would actually be pursuing that route, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, the government, yes, they're in charge of just our borders, they're in charge of our fiat and how that commerce is working out, but when you have somebody out in the street, there's also that ideology of standing up for the weak. Where does that stand? Does the government not have a place? Because, don't get me wrong, there are some very evil people out there, and I'm not saying all of America is evil, not whatsoever. There's some very...
But at the community level, it's not supposed to be... Government is not God. Government is not king.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Right? It's supposed to be about the people. All right? The people are the ones that are responsible for their own. Because in reality, if you think about the last, 10, 15 years, whatever government really does, it makes very little impact on what it is our real daily lives, what we do from day to day. I mean, from taxes, what they take out of your check, of course, but outside of that, outside of what they levy as far as finances and things like, they really don't. They don't clean your toilets. They say that they want fresh, clean air and water, but you have businesses that dirty it, that lobby against it. So really, it's not up to them; it's up to us. So, I just that's my 2 cents.
So
on
then,
that.
at least in that regards, then we pay an X amount of dollars. We pay taxes on a very unfathomable amount of taxes, at least on everything we do.
Yes.
Where it's once again, it's unfathomable. But it's more the fact of then, where do we take that money? Are we able to take that money and then throw it back into the community? How would we, I guess, hold liability, or in that aspect of who's going to be in charge?
Accountability.
Thank you. Accountability. Who's going to be
the guys that are already in charge? We don't hold them accountable. So why? How is that any relevant?
Not till lately. Now, look at this. This is something that I found really interesting. So, for example, you have your president George W. Bush Jr., and then you had Barack Obama. Now, they were watched, but they weren't, prospected. There was no magnifying glass on them. They didn't constantly get beat up day in and day out by the social media and by the mainstream media. They would put out a few things and they'd let it be as is. Social media might pop up for a few, you're good. But now that Trump is out, and now he's our leader, he's really starting to get prospected. Everyone's looking at him. Everyone is paying attention to him. Every step he makes, if he's not going to a meeting and he's going to, let's just say, some restaurant down the street here, then, that's something that's very interesting. They're following him from his house, or the White House, excuse me, all the way to the restaurant. He is now being prospected from every second, every move he's doing. Why wasn't this part of the agenda to begin with? Why weren't we keeping an eye on the government beforehand?
I think that what's happened is, in our ignorance, to think that one person, like a president,
right,
controls everything, right? I think that our ignorance to think that the politicians have yours, mine, yours best interest in heart. When in reality, how much money have you given to that politician directly? How much money have you given to the president directly? You may have made a contribution, but the amount of that contribution that you've made, nowhere is in any surmount or any amount is measurable to the people like George Soros, or Apple, or Google, or Bill Gates, that have given for those special interests. The bottom line is that we don't own our government, and our government doesn't own us. It comes down to the fact that the voice that you think you have only matters in cyberspace.
Yeah.
But through cyberspace, not just America, but the world as a whole has made a difference. It's made a dent, and we've gotten their attention. I guess now it comes down to trying to figure out, how do we make a bigger dent without dividing ourselves on what it is that they tell us we should be divided about.
Oh, yeah.
Give us a few minutes. We're going to be right back. Thank you very much for joining and watching.